excuses about how, oh, well, we're the minority party right now. We can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Oh,
you have a voice. You can be
Jesus.
screaming from the rooftops about what's going on right now.
So,
And you should be.
I mean, my thing is, when we had a veto proof or filibuster proof Senate and House under Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, put some respect on the damn name.
Capitulation took place.
The guy was like, I'm reaching across the aisles.
Yeah.
And you can't find the balls to say, hey, since we're filibuster proof, don't show up anymore. Because everything we want, we're getting until they vote me out. Because that's exactly what they would do. What's up, YouTube? And welcome once again to On Your Left with Drill Sergeant Doug. And yes, that's me, Drill Sergeant Doug. And this is a political roundtable, the kind that doesn't suck. That's the point. We don't have people on here who are just here to spout partisan talking points and go rah-rah for the team. We don't have people on here who don't know what they're talking about. And we also don't just argue for the sake of argument. The point of a show like this, of a roundtable, is to get somewhere in the end. The point of a show like this is to actually educate the watcher and the listener. Can you believe it? It's not just entertainment. You can tell that to CNN and the rest of them. This is how it should be done. That's the point. The roundtable that doesn't suck. And today, not only do we have our insiders from Washington, we have a political strategist who actually understands the workings of these campaigns. We, of course, have our courage candidates because that's the point. Anybody who we have on here is somebody who we think at least should have a chance for you to hear, to vote for. But we also have somebody running for a gubernatorial race in Oregon. Let me introduce you to our panel. Running for governor in Oregon, we have Brittany Jones. Brittany Jones is here running for the governorship or the gubernatorial race there as a courage candidate in Oregon. We have as a singer, songwriter, entertainer, comedian, all around amazing, amazing person. Chelsea Gods is here. If you don't know who she is, you're in for a treat. Also an activist, not just a comedian, not just an entertainer. We also have with us, running for Georgia's 12th district, and the first time that we've had a repeat person on here, Bri Woodson, candidate. And we have someone who is a strategist, a political strategist extraordinaire, a political strategist, someone who knows the inner workings of how these campaigns work, Olivia Logan, Logan Strategic Solutions. So I will let everybody introduce themselves in a second, but I want to let everybody know that the topics for the day is fighting fascism and very closely connected to that, rebuilding the Democratic Party. So we're not tackling anything really hard today. Just, all right, I'm going to try my hardest to be quiet and let the experts speak, because this is one of those topics that I think to come at it from a place of just how it feels or reactionary is obtuse and doesn't help anybody. This one needs to be done by the candidates. This one needs to be done by the strategists and by the activists on the ground. And that's who we have here today. I will start with Brittany Jones. Give us a little introduction of yourself. Then I'm going to go around the room. How are you, my friend?
I'm pretty good. My name is Brittany Jones. I'm running for governor of Oregon, and I'm actively working on moving the Democratic Party actually left of center. And I've been challenging leadership within the party pretty much since I started running last summer, and just working to make it actually work for the people again instead of corporations and the establishment.
That sounds outstanding. Chelsea Gods, if you need any introduction, introduce yourself.
My name is Chelsea Gods, and I'm a comedian, social media content creator, political activist, and America's Antifa sweetheart.
You may have heard her hit song, Kristi Noem is a bird-legged hoe. But now that Kristi Noem...
You know who else heard that song? Kristi Noem did.
Yeah. But now that she's gone, we need a new anthem.
I love laughing at her so much.
It's awesome.
Deport Melania.
And oh yeah. I don't have my Deport Melania hat
That's
on
the new
today
anthem.
because
That's the one.
this is
Deport
my-
Melania.
Okay, gotcha. I love it. So, Olivia Logan, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, yeah. My name's Olivia Logan. I run a boutique consulting firm out of DC called Logan Strategic Solutions. And I have been doing this for 15 years now. I'm originally from Arkansas. I saw a need to support new candidates with new ideas. The party's been stale for a while now, but we're now starting to get new voices. I'm super excited about that. And my main focus is not just new candidates, but also down ballot candidates so that, they're coming in and they're filling in these spots that we need, like Secretary of State, Attorney General, the state legislature, our city councils, our mayoral offices. So, that's what I do.
Outstanding. And I got a lot to say on that in just a minute. Bri Woodson, the return. We're good friends now. We
are.
Give your introduction.
We are. Hi, everyone. Bri Woodson, also known as the Controversial Blonde. I'm a content creator as well as congressional candidate for Georgia's 12th. I'm the youngest Black woman in Georgia history to run for a congressional seat. I'm also an organizer and activist. I'm the Georgia lead for FAFO, which is Fight Against Fascism organization. What else? My titles are a bit much sometimes. Therapist in residency. I work in substance use. I have background in active addiction, turned it around, and now that's what I work in. So
not much. You can see we got lightweights here, right? This is what we're dealing with here.
Nothing major.
Nothing major. All right. So I'm going to start it off because I have a feeling this has a chance to go long. I want it to be important. Before we get to how to change the Democratic Party, where it needs to go, we're going to all agree that it needs to change. And we're not going to start from, do you think the Democratic Party should be more this or that? We all know, if you're here and you're watching, you know it needs changing. So we're going to start with the harder question. How do we fight fascism? This is something that raises its head every 30 to 50 years, somewhere around the world. It seems to be a human condition. It seems to be something that we cannot get rid of in earnest, in totality. All we have is the examples of how to fight it. And right about now, people are burning warehouses. Right about now, people are just bucking. We're losing our minds out here. And I have a feeling it's because fascism, the boot of fascism and capitalism, have their boot on the necks of regular people to the point where breathing is hard. I need some solutions. I'd like some ideas on how we as a people can get through this. So no big deal, huh? I'll let you start this, Brittany. And anybody can chime in anytime here.
So one of the things that I really push for in the fight against fascism is, one, don't be quiet about it, especially in spaces where people get uncomfortable when you are talking about it. Make them uncomfortable, be loud, take up the space to fight against fascism. Another thing is following the equity priority communities or the marginalized communities, the Native community, the Black community, the Mexican community. Follow our communities, and especially our elders who have lived through a lot of the worst of the worst. Like, there's still Native elders alive who went through boarding schools. Like, listen to them, follow their advice, let them have those leadership roles, and take up the banners for them when they get tired. And it's really important to push that. And one thing I plan to do if I'm elected, or when I'm elected, I'm going to manifest it.
There you go. That's the therapist in me. I literally snapped up. I was like, say, no, change that. Reword that.
One of the things I'm going to do is immediately enact a state of emergency, which gives the governor control over the state and local police force. And I'm going to suspend every single officer that is a part of the Proud Boys or the KKK or has white supremacist ties and any of them that's violating sanctuary laws. And I'm going to enforce very strict cultural competency training and de-escalation training. And that's one way to fight it directly from inside the system once leadership actually has a backbone. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow. Real quick, Olivia, I want to know, as a strategist, what does that sound like to you? Someone says this. Let me tell you, the first thing I think is, we should be fighting this hard because it is this important. And immediately the reflex response is, well, is that fascism? Is that fascism? Are we going to, right? Because somebody's going to say that, right? Isn't that taking control? Isn't that too much? As a strategist, what does that sound like to you when you hear somebody running say something like that?
I think right now our law enforcement has overstepped majorly. And it's not just the police, it's law enforcement across the board. And I think it is in the best interest to vet who is doing public safety, who is involved in our public safety, and making sure that they are actually prioritizing public safety and not another agenda. Because right now, people have a major distrust of police and military at this point too, as well. And rightfully so. And so at this point in time, I see no issues with it. I think we need to be more proactive in vetting who gets to participate in public safety.
Well, let's
agree.
also, just for a minute here, define fascism. Let's define fascism. Fascism is a far right ideology, period. Like, that's it. Like, we can't say that reworking the police structures in this country is a fascist ideology, because it's not right wing, right? It's not fascism to fix a broken system. And it never meets the definition of fascism, whatever anybody on the left is doing, because fascism, by definition, is a far right ideology. Anytime a MAGA tries to throw back in my face that I'm a fascist, first off, I don't believe in dictatorships, whether it's a communist dictatorship or if it's a fascist dictatorship. I'm against dictatorships wholeheartedly, and I think everyone here on this panel is against dictatorships. Like, we are not talking about being a dictator when we're talking about fixing the problems in the police system, right? Like, the problems in the police system are endemic. They are literally everywhere. It's insane. It is insane, the police brutality that we have normalized in this country. I want to go back to what Brittany said about being loud in our defiance about fighting fascism. One of the things that I like to say is the way we got into this was through silent compliance. We got into the mess that we're in because we just complied, because we preferred normalcy, because we preferred our life to feel standard, because we didn't want to feel uncomfortable. We didn't want to feel uncomfortable. And the way that we get out of fascism is through loud defiance. We got here through silent compliance, and we will get out of it through loud defiance. I encourage people as a whole to continually be talking about how things are not normal. We are in an abusive relationship with our government, right? Our government is run by a bunch of narcissists. We see the abusive relationship happening to us. And one of the weirdest things about being in an abusive relationship is when it's happening to you is that you will disassociate from it, and you'll just be like, oh, this is fine. Everything is fine. That's why everyone has seen that meme where there's that dog sitting and there's like flames on fire. I am fine. This is fine. That's us in an abusive relationship with our government. The way that we get out of this abusive relationship with our government.
It's a functional freeze.
Yeah, functional freeze. That's great.
Yep. It's 100% on purpose.
So we're all
it's flooding the zone, right? That's what they do. They flood us.
They do. They flood the zone. That's Steve Bannon.
Exactly.
That's Steve Bannon's tactic, is to flood the zone with so much news that you're so overwhelmed that you can't even make heads or tails of it, right?
Yep.
Well, because we are in an abusive relationship with our government, the way we get out of that abusive relationship with our government is convince everyone else around us that, hey, we're in an abusive relationship with our government. And we stop normalizing things that are absolutely not normal. It is not normal for Donald Trump to put his face on a coin. It is not normal for Donald Trump to put his face on all the buildings in Washington, D.C. It is not normal for Donald Trump to sign his name on the dollar bill. It is not normal for Donald Trump to tear down the East Wing of the White House. It is not normal for Donald Trump to be doing any of the things that he's been doing. And the way we get out of this, again, is through loud defiance. So I totally agree with what she said earlier. And that's one of the things that I wanted to come back to.
So I just want to ask, I want to give an example of what is not normal here, just because it's the right thing to do at a time like this. We're talking about this? Is this normal here,
No.
Chelsea? This what you're talking about?
No. It is. You know what though? It is normal if you're a cult leader, and honestly, kind of fits. No, this is not normal behavior. His megalomania, his obsession with himself is a problem, and obviously that's a tenet of fascism, right? Like that's what a fascist leader does, is that they place themselves above everyone else. They put themselves all over everything. They build buildings and monuments to themselves. All of this sounding familiar, America? All of this hitting a little too close to home. But when it comes to that loud defiance, one of the things that I encourage people to do is that we talk amongst ourselves and remind each other that this isn't normal. One of the reasons why protest is so important and why it actually is so effective is that the visual of people getting out in the streets is important to persuade others to also get out in the streets, because they will see what is happening and they will be like, oh, these people are feeling the same way as me. A lot of times when terrible things are happening to us, we're feeling isolated in those feelings, right? Right now, the best thing we can do is connect in our community. That's the best thing we can do. Connect with each other. The way out of fascism is to lean into our humanity, lean into our communities. That is how we win. They care about us protesting as much as they pretend that they don't care. They care. They care. I got kettled by LAPD this week. Let me tell you, the fascists care when you use your voice.
There is safety in numbers. So the more of us that stand together, the safer we are, even though it poses a bigger threat to a fascist regime. So the more we have standing together, the stronger we are.
I was thinking about that. That's a great point. I was thinking about that because at the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles this weekend, Los Angeles is one of the largest cities in the entire world. It is the largest city in the United States of America by population. And at the MDC, there was only around like 200 to 300 people showing up there. There should have been thousands of people there. If we had 2,000 people against the LAPD would not have done what they did. So now Coachella this week is full of Los Angelinos, right? Like all the people in LA are all flooding to Coachella to give all their money to the fascists, give all their money to the corporations. And I don't care what anyone says about Coachella giving a pro-Palestine message. The reality is that Coachella is run by corporations and people who uphold the systems of oppression that also uphold Donald Trump.
Which
right?
is literally
So
crazy because
Los
Coachella
Angelinos
started off complete opposite. It was started for the complete opposite.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, let me give you another thing, though.
So all these people have enough time. They have enough time to travel to Palm Springs. They have enough time to go do that. They have enough time to go to Joshua Tree, whatever. They have enough time to do that. But they don't have enough time to show up with those of us who are fighting for their rights and freedoms at the Metropolitan Detention Center.
That's not true at all. Because I can
assure you that if we had 2,000...
No. That's not true at all.
Well, no, because I want 2,000 people down there.
Coachella has been promoting itself for an entire year. That's why they can have that many people there. I'm really getting annoyed. I'm really getting annoyed at my own folks for putting on something every 2 weeks and expecting 2,000 people to be there rather than planning something for 6 months to hope we can get 1 million people there. I'm waiting for us to do that. I'm on the same signals as most of the people that we're talking about without giving out any names.
Yeah, but those big events like No Kings are not necessarily as effective, right? Like they're effective at spreading hope, but they're not necessarily effective at pinpointed, targeted campaigns.
But also we have to keep in mind that people often forget too. They look at things and protest our history. People love referencing the Montgomery bus boycotts, right? But they fail to ever talk about the history. That took years. That wasn't just a pop-up, oh yeah, let's all just boycott the buses. And they didn't even have cell phones or internet then. So just imagine the kind of organization and the kind of effort and connection. And we have to have the smaller ones to lead to the big ones. And strangely enough, it feels like we're even more disjointed than we would be if we didn't have internet. But that's another point entirely. But I think that's important to also remember is that these things take time.
Mm-hmm.
They take a lot of time and they take a lot of
That's
effort.
a good point to bring up. Well, I just had a conversation with someone yesterday about nationwide boycotts, that they said the same thing, that we're going to be doing these kind of general strike trials, because in order to have a successful full general strike, we need to do these small trials first.
Mhm.
So I like that. I like the position that you and Doug are presenting to me, because it gives me something to think about and go, okay, these are trial runs. And I like that. I like that. It's a hopeful, it's a hopeful way of thinking about it too, which I really, really like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good way of framing it. It's more optimistic. And I'm like, okay, all right, I like that. That's why we have these panels.
And you know, when I think about fighting fascism and what it means, my purview is a little bit different as a Black woman, deeply entrenched in the South, and it's the love of my life. I love living in the South, but I also understand the complications of it, and categorically and largely, it's why and how we're here. This is the Confederacy that we never punished and held accountable correctly. This is white supremacy, and we have to be loud about white supremacy. White supremacy. I'm writing a book called "You Can't Decolonize What You Don't Recognize: How to Spot Supremacy in Politics, Education, and Society." So when I think of supremacy, I think of an umbrella, and all the isms and issues fall under it, right? So you have boom, white supremacy, narcissism, fascisms. Those isms don't get here without that, right? And so I think we need to have more bold conversations about exactly what those lines are. There is a huge uncomfortability around the conversation of white supremacy, of the ideology in and of itself. But you know, if we're being honest and truly tired of the systems, that is how we talk about it. We have to bring it up. We didn't get here without it. I often think back to the works of Theodore Adorno. I'm a clinician first, right? So my brain, it goes to the clinical aspects of things. And I was doing research on not necessarily the how, but why. Why do certain people into fascism? Why do they fall into this so quickly? Theodore
That's very
Adorno
important.
was, yes, he was born in 1903 in Frankfurt. He was a German Jewish philosopher, and he actually researched and studied on the people themselves and why they fall into fascism, because he lived in it, he survived it in Germany, right? And so what he surmised is that it's people who are obsessed with authoritarianism, who grew up in authoritarian households, who need a larger figure in front of them, something to follow. And so his warnings about fascism are still spot on. So it relies on dehumanization, fear-based politics, anti-intellectualism, conformity over critical thought, cult of personality. All of those things are exactly what you see line by line with MAGA. Especially the fear-based politics part is something that I talk about a lot. As a substance use therapist, one of the main things I do, if not probably like 80% of what I do, is I teach neuroscience. I teach addiction from a disease model. And so when I'm talking about the brain and how it functions, obviously we go over the amygdala. That is your fear-based responses, right? That's where all the fearness and the scary things come out. And that's what your brain pumps out to tell you that, oh my goodness, we're worried, we're scared. It has been scientifically proven that right-leaning people, conservatives, have a larger and overactive amygdala because they consume so much fear-based policy, and that is by design. An uneducated populace is a controlled populace, and uneducated people are very, very easy to keep in fear, right? If you just look at the policies and how they're even talked about and how they're presented. They're always to stop something from happening, to stop a group of people from doing XYZ. It's not to gain. It's not outlined in hope. It's not outlined in good faith. It's literally outlined, how can we stop this from happening? Because if this doesn't happen, XYZ happens, I end up being hurt. And so people who are in fear, my mother's calling me, girl, I have to call back. People who are in fear, they act like it, they respond like it. And so if we're thinking about authoritarianism, people in fear looking to someone to comfort them, it's natural that people in fear are going to go towards the person that is assuading those fears, even though, I mean, we see it, that's not actually happening. But and that just goes back to us being loud and open about what is actually going on, the truth. Exposure is what bridges the gap, right? because what are you afraid of? What you were exposed to, right? Like when you're exposed to something, someone, different cultures, lifestyles, political views, whatever it may be, whatever basket it falls into, you start to understand. Education breeds tolerance, and that just falls right back into the other point of anti-intellectualism being such an important facet of fascism. So fighting it, we have to educate, we have to talk about these things, we have to present them constantly and consistently in a good faith manner. That's my take on it.
Go ahead, Brittany.
We have to also remember, like, we have to remind people that anybody can use the tools of white supremacy.
It's an ideology. It's not a white people thing. It is an ideology that anybody can perpetuate and uphold. Yes.
Yes, they're tools. They're things to be used to suppress, which means anybody can be manipulated into using them. And sometimes it's not always consciously. That's why a lot of self-worth and growth is uncomfortable, because you have to examine how you yourself might be using those tools unintentionally, and then be mindful about how you move throughout our communities and when you are standing up against fascism.
Well, that's what makes deconstruction so difficult in this country. Doug has heard me say it a million times. Miss American Propaganda is the hardest working bitch I know. She's constantly working. Girls in overtime all the time, right? And so people have been convinced that you're not racist or you're not contributing to racism unless you are burning a cross in a yard or donning a white robe. But that's not the case. Everything operates on a spectrum, right? And if we're looking at things on a spectrum, that's the extreme part of racism, yes. But, you know, locking your doors when a certain black kid walks by, that's still on the spectrum. It's still causing harm. And complacency, just like we were talking about, is just as problematic. It's just as effective as being outright loud about it, but it still falls on that spectrum. But American propaganda has convinced people that, you know, you're fine unless you're using the N-word and you know, burning crosses in yards, you're fine, which is not the case at all.
We mentioned education for a split second, and I'm on the side of thinking that education, in more than just, you know, the fascist per se, more than just this idea or topic, is so much more important and is such a long-term strategy to stopping fascism. Because, like you said, the amygdala, right? I'm in a place where the first commercial I saw for a Republican was 3 trucks riding down some dirt road talking about getting rid of the illegals. And we ain't got no gas. The schools suck. The kids can't read. Nobody can pay rent. People are losing their home. And the first thing for 30 seconds is a guy's riding down the street, a dirt road, talking about illegals, and we're not near any of those roads that lead to where illegals are, if you're going to call them that, right? But that kind of messaging, that kind of thing that they know they can get to, because they'll never ever have to talk about a policy, anything. They'll never have to talk about anything at all. Who's making the money, how they're, the tax policy, what they're doing, the cronyism. They'll never have to talk about it, because they just assume that people listening and watching are stupid, because they've spent years making them that way. Am I wrong?
No, not at all. Not at all. This is what it is. It's anti-intellectualism. You know, there was so much talk about how people didn't understand what VP Harris was saying, or she didn't make sense, and that is proof in and of itself that she sounds perfectly normal to me. Like, I understand her perfectly well, but you know, putting myself in the mind frame of someone who doesn't have higher education, doesn't constantly read or write, doesn't engage in things that stretch the brain, right? My dogs.
Well, and it's not just anti-intellectualism, right? It's more than that. It's like propaganda that has been used. Like, you already said it, Bri. You already said it, that the American propaganda is such a huge thing where they're selling this life like, oh, if you work hard enough, you're going to be a millionaire one day too. You're going to be just like Elon Musk if you work hard enough. These people like believe this propaganda. It almost boggles the mind when I have these conversations with the MAGA where I'm talking about failed policies in the United States, for instance, healthcare. I think every person can agree that healthcare is not working for anybody. There is nobody that healthcare is working for. Most people have like $18,000 deductibles, $25,000 deductibles. They're paying $400 a month out of their paycheck for healthcare that doesn't even cover them when they go to the hospital. And yet you'll have a conversation with like a MAGA and I'd be like, well, we should have nationwide healthcare. And they're like, nothing's free in this world. Nothing's free in this world except bombs, right? The only thing free in this country is bombs for brown children in the Middle East. But as soon as you're like,
it's like there's actually a lot of things in the world that's free. There's a lot of things in the world that's free.
But they've been so convinced. But they've been so convinced. They've been so convinced by the propaganda sold by billionaires that they literally put on their own shackles so willingly. And they're like, oh no, I love my $18,000 deductible healthcare. I love that I can't call the ambulance when I need it. Right? Like,
and
they're so convinced by the propaganda.
It dumbs people down where they can just consume that propaganda and don't question it, right? Like
that's why Trump is so popular, because he speaks so simply and plainly. He like in military acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. He literally speaks in the dumbest terms, and so it's like the same thing when the church was going in England, when when the Protestant Christians were coming out of the Catholic Church. And they didn't speak Latin, so the Pope had all the power because he controlled the Bible and what it was said. And when they started translating it into common English, a lot of people started taking a stand against the church. It's the same thing here. We have the legalese, the policy speak, the politicians that speak in these high words that are from the high degrees and the high colleges. So when you have somebody that steps out and dumbs it down, not calling people dumb, but the uneducated, they understand that. They don't have, it's their vernacular. They speak and understand, and when you can connect with them on that level, like Trump said, the uneducated are.
Well, this brings us. This brings us to the next point that we'll be talking about, right?
Yeah.
That brings us to the next point we'll be talking about, like Democrats.
Yeah, that's coming. Yeah, that's coming right now, actually. But just in a second, Olivia, what were you going to say?
Well, yeah, I have family that currently live in the South. I'm originally from there, but they're scattered all over. I've got some family in Louisiana. I've got some family in North Carolina and still in Arkansas. And they think that Trump has made their lives easier because they keep watching the propaganda. And I went and I visited them at some point in the last couple months, and I have a relative that cannot afford to heat her home. So they only turn the heat on at night because it would be unbearably cold. They can't dry their clothes. So they have gone out to buy clotheslines. And so now they've got crunchy towels, but they think that we're in a society that is heading for improvement. And they can't even see it in front of their face, even though they have cold houses and crunchy towels. It's wild.
One of the things that I still do as a content creator, I debate MAGA on live panels all the time, and the amount of people that now they outright say it. I voted for him because he looks like me. I voted for him because he's familiar. I voted for him because X. I talk to white nationalists literally all the time. I'm curious about them, and that it's so common. And there's a book about it too. It's called "Dying of Whiteness." A professor actually wrote an entire book about how historically in the United States, white people as a group have made political decisions, social decisions, cultural decisions that have negatively impacted their health to the point of death in order to uphold this illusion of whiteness, right? It's wild, and it's literally what we're seeing right now.
So here's the deal. Number one, identifying this problem, where it starts, what perpetuates it, super important. Also, there is a intersection right? Education. This is long-term strategy on how to not stop fascism when it's happening, but how to prevent it from happening in the future. Being loud about what's going on, opening up, maybe using that amygdala, that super large amygdala, for the purposes of seeing real threats, is how you can use being loud. Maybe is understanding. There's an intersection between right now and policy for later, which can only come from the Democratic Party. I don't care if you say you're Green Party or this party, more power to you. But if you haven't had 10 people run for state dog catcher and also school board, and then also, and I'm going to talk to Olivia about this, and then also the mayorship, but you run for president every 4 years, you're a failure. So the only thing we have left to do is vote for the Democrats, because as the immutable Chelsea Gods told us, fascism is a right-wing ideology. So you'd have no other choice. What are we going to do
I have a hard
about
time.
this
I get what you're
Democratic
saying,
Party?
Karen.
Go ahead.
What are we going to do about the Democratic Party? The Democrats work awfully hard to try and court Republicans every single year. And it's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life. It's the dumbest thing ever. By the way, I want everyone to know, and I'm here to testify to you today. I'm going to testify to you today as a representative of the cult of gods that progressive policies are popular in the United States, and I won't listen to anyone pretend otherwise anymore. Zoran Mamdani swung young men 45 points in his direction.
Whoa.
Zoran Mamdani swung young men 45 points in his direction versus the Trump election.
So you mean, wait a minute,
People
hold on. The breaking news. Are you saying that he didn't need a left-wing Joe Rogan? Is that what happened?
So here's the deal, though. That's a different story. I actually do fully believe that we need to be dominating social media, which is what I focus on. Like, that's obviously my wheelhouse, is dominating social media on left-wing politics. There needs to be left-wing people who people want to be like. It makes me feel good when young women come up to me and go, hey, Chelsea, I want to dress like you. I want to look like you. You blending fashion and activism is an important thing for me. Well, people in the right wing have been focusing on that for the last more than a decade. In fact, one of Elon Musk's baby mamas, Ashley St. Clair, a former MAGA influencer and still an Elon Musk baby mama, has been coming out talking about the political structures that Republicans use to get to the point where they are. And Democrats are not doing this. I would like to go on record and say, I am absolutely one of the reasons why Kristi Noem got fired. I want you to know, I absolutely take some amount of credit for Kristi Noem getting fired for having written Kristi Noem as a bird-legged hoe. And I had political strategists call me and be like, hey, Chelsea, I know you did this. How many people in the Democratic Party have reached out to me? None. Because the DNC is so off base. They are so out in left field, not paying attention to anything that's going on. Are they paying content creators the way that right-wing people are paying content creators? They're not. Not even at all. Not even at all.
No,
they're not working with us. They're not reaching out to us. They're not using us as a tool. They're doing absolutely nothing to win the hearts and minds of America. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely
not
nothing. If we don't win the social media game, we will continue to lose.
Yep, every single time. And I have such negative pushback, also critical silence from the Georgia Democratic Party, which is absolutely insane, because collectively, people know my name a lot more than they know the actual incumbent. Across TikTok and Instagram, I have a platform of like 200,000 people. Like, hello, I'm a content creator, and literally what I do is break down history, supremacy, and politics between 1 and 3 minutes. I literally never go over 3 minutes, ever. Usually I try not to go over 2. I am really, really good at snagging people really quickly and effectively with social media, but because I don't look the part, fit the bill, I'm not taking out my nose ring, I got giant arm tattoos, I don't fit the bill, I didn't ask for permission, I kicked down the door.
You got a nose ring? I never noticed. I'm just playing. Just go ahead. I'm just playing.
Maybe I should pierce the other side and really just shake it up for everybody. But yeah, it's so frustrating that my platform could be used in such a much more powerful way than it currently is being. Like, obviously, I'm doing a lot on my own, but the fact that
Right.
out of all the
Right.
candidates, I'm the only one with this
Right.
kind of platform and it's not being effectively used, and it's not anything that I'm doing. It's mind blowing.
What I did say, and you didn't hear it, Olivia, I'd love to get your idea on this. Not to poo-poo on somebody's party, on anybody's third party, but if you're not running for a school board and you're not running for mayorship and dog catcher and police chief or even governor or anything else before you come out and show up every 4 years to run for president, you're failing. And
you're an ineffective candidate for sure.
So for me, I think that if your goal is to reshape a party or the left, you only have one choice until those people do those other things. You only have one choice, and that's the Democratic Party. I'd love to hear where you think it should go, where it should be landing, and how we should be. Like I said before, it's the intersection between the policy to ensure fascism doesn't happen again, or we can stave it off for longer through education policy, as well as the things we need to do now, and our people are going to vote for how you're going to end it, right? As a strategist, you may have insight onto both of those ideas, and I'd hate to.
What do you mean about end it? Like, are you talking about like?
Well, I know I'm going. Here's one thing: if somebody says these are courage candidates, we're only allowing courage candidates. Period. Because if you're not willing to say, I want to impeach, do everything I can to impeach the regime, everybody in there, including Trump, on day one, I'm not voting for you. That's it. I'm not coming out and voting for you. If you say, my job is to ensure that I'm throwing every single one of these people in a prison for the rest of their lives, or giving them the penalty deserved of all traitors. Anything like that, I can tell you, I'm voting for. That's what I'm voting for. And if you're too afraid to, so that's what I mean is, there's other ways of ending it, but because I'm who I am,
got it.
I gravitate towards that.
Sure. Yeah, and that makes total sense. I know my biggest focus right now is building infrastructure because there is none. The Democratic Party's absent in every capacity. Let's be honest. They are just gone.
At every single Democratic meeting I've been to, they always say the right has such a strong message. We need to get one. We need to get one. And then there's no way towards getting one. There's no intercommunication between the counties. There's no intercommunication between the cities or between the state and the counties. They send one representative, one delegate. They don't even know who the PCPs are half the time. And I get in there and cause a ruckus because I would prefer to run as part of no party. I don't like the party system. But at the state level, I'm choosing to run as a Democrat because I see that's where I can make the most good. And when I'm at the rallies, when I'm at the protests, when I'm talking to the people on the streets, they're like, we want somebody with a backbone. And I tell this every time I'm in a party meeting, and they're like, how do we get younger voters? How do we get younger voters? I was like,
stand for something and authenticity.
Like, every time we're on the streets and they're asking where you are,
stand for something.
Be there. That's how you get them. You grow a backbone, you be there, and you take a stand. That's what they want to see.
Well, and authenticity is going to be the ticket going forward in anything that you do, because people are tired. I mean, I think one reason why in 2024 the Democratic Party avoided podcasts is because anytime an establishment figure gets on a podcast, all of a sudden it turns into like policy time and people check out. People don't want to hear about policy. People want to hear about how you're going to impact their life on a day-to-day basis. And they want to know that you're paying attention to what's going on. And they have not been paying attention to what's going on. I mean, it was evidently clear in January when this administration took over, of last year, that they were not prepared. And then they kept on making excuses about how, oh, well, we're the minority party right now. We can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you have a voice. You can be screaming from the rooftops about what's going on right now.
So,
And you should be.
I mean, my thing is, when we had a veto proof or filibuster proof Senate and House under Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, put some respect on the damn name.
Capitulation took place.
The guy was like, I'm reaching across the aisles.
Yeah.
What aisle? They put in a standing filibuster so no one even has to talk anymore or use the bathroom. Nothing anymore. Because they wanted to stop you from getting anything done that could help people. They've been doing it for 50 years. Every single move they make is to destroy the lives of the people who vote for them under the guise of their being on top because of their religion or their color. And you can't find the balls to say, hey, since we're filibuster proof, don't show up anymore because everything we want, we're getting until they vote me out. Because that's exactly what they would do. That's exactly what they did. That's how
100%.
they got. So
that's why
we're where we're at.
Democrats.
This is the problem with Democrats.
It's because
this is the problem with Democrats is they try and play within the set of rules.
No, it's because they're getting paid by the same people.
No, you're right. They're getting paid by the same people.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and they're getting paid by the same people. And I want to say this. We talked about things that the Democrats need to do, and in order for us to want to vote for them again. Number one, no more AIPAC money. No one wants to see Democrats who are getting AIPAC money. No one wants to see that anymore. No one wants to see it. There are no youth voters. There are no youth voters who want to see any candidates who are getting money from AIPAC. And also, if they can't say things like abolish ICE, they shouldn't even be on the ticket anymore. Because you know what? The Democrats are worse than the Republicans. You know why the Democrats are worse than the Republicans? Because they pretend to be on our side. And then when push comes to shove, then they're voting with the Republicans. In my own congressional district, my representative is Juan Vargas. Fuck you, Juan Vargas. Publicly. Forever. Juan Vargas takes AIPAC money. Juan Vargas has taken $252,000 from AIPAC. And then don't be surprised when my Democratic representative, Juan Vargas, votes with Republicans to fund the war in Iran. My Democratic representative voting with Republicans is a bigger slap in the face than Republicans voting for the war in Iran. You know why? Because he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Because he's pretending that he's on the side of the people. He may show up at Otay Mesa concentration camp and pretend he wants to go in, but when push comes to shove, he is taking money from people who are performing a genocide. And then he took that money from genocidal maniacs, and then he decided that he was going to vote with them. Well, that doesn't seem to fit my belief system at all. And I don't think it fits anyone's belief system who finds himself on the left wing in the United States anymore. So we got to get AIPAC out of our politics. We need to take that very seriously. And we need to stop trusting Democratic establishment because honestly, where are you, Democratic establishment? I'm out on the mofo streets all the time. And I never see any politicians out there. I'm out on the streets all the time. And I never hear from any of these politicians. They're not reaching out to me. I'm surprisingly influential in the United States. I keep creating left-wing memes that take off, get hundreds and hundreds of millions of views. Think about how the DNC could be using me. Think about how they could be spreading their message, but they don't care because they don't care about spreading their message. They care about getting their money from their donors, and these same donors are donating to both the Democrats and the Republicans. And if we don't keep putting in progressive politicians, which Olivia, you mentioned something that I think is particularly interesting and particularly important, which is putting in progressive politicians at the lower levels of government. Because one way that MAGA took over is they started taking over school boards, right?
Yep.
And you know that as a political strategist, you know that the way MAGA took over the United States was by doing small seats that nobody was contesting. And we're not doing that on the DNC side because the DNC doesn't care about organizing because they don't really care about the people. They care about themselves, just like the Republicans do.
Yep. That's definitely
an issue. Campaign. It's a faceless campaign. Doug's seen it. And it is literally empty stadium chairs. Spotlight. Big bold letters, where is Congress? My QR code and my website at the bottom. That's it. That's the only thing on them. And I made a radio ad to go with it. It's funny, but it's also valid. It's a 911 call. I'm reporting a whole bunch of missing persons. The entire body of Congress has gone missing, right? And so I had one of a mutual creator. I'm not going to call her a friend, not anymore, but a mutual creator who hosts very large lives, pulled me up on our panel. We started talking about it. And she got upset with me. She is one of those old school Democrats who just vote blue no matter who. Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. And she was very upset that my ad and my flyers depicted this idea that the Democrats in Congress aren't doing anything. And I'm over here hearing crickets because, babe, what do you mean? They're also part of the issue.
What did they do? What are they doing then?
Like, so the question, where is Congress, is valid. That is not that crazy outlet thing, but I got crucified in a live with like 500 people, 600 people.
Oh, wow.
It was rough.
From the establishment Democrats and the corporate Democrats, because my incumbent that I'm challenging, she's a corporate Democrat. She admits that our environment cannot handle data centers, but then at the same token supports tax breaks for data centers while raising taxes on gas, which affects the working class. And I've been pointing this out to people, and still the Democratic Party of Oregon sits there and pushes out an email saying to re-elect Kotek in November, acting as if there's not people challenging her in the primaries. And I emailed the counties. I had a whole meeting. I made a whole resolution about true neutrality during the primaries. I was so upset. And I connected with a lot of other Democrats that were upset too, because it's so disrespectful to the candidates that are running and working to make change, to ignore us. And at this point, the Republican Party has been platforming all of their candidates. They've been having candidate forums. They've been having candidate debates for the Republican governor. The Democratic Party hasn't done any of that. Hasn't been doing any of that to even show that she's being challenged. And it's such an establishment system that I've been very loudly calling out here. And I've been making a lot of progress getting allies against it, because people are so fed up against the system.
Where I'm at, I'm having, like I said, very, very similar issues. You know, it's nothing for me to see local figures that are very active in the community will make posts about, the Democratic challengers. I'm left out of every single one. And I'm bold. I'm like, hi, hello. I comment like, hi, my name's Bri Woodson, clearly on the ballot. Hi, how you doing? What's up? But the way it's done on purpose over and over is just like, on one side of the mouth they talk about wanting change, right? And on the other side, change is here and looks very different than everything else we've seen. But there's also an issue there too, right? Like, my incumbent is interesting. He is, not going to be, loud and brazen like a Brian Mast, right? But Rick Allen has held his seat for a decade. He is the chairman of the Prayer Caucus. There's a prayer caucus of Congress. You can literally go to his website and go to the Prayer Caucus site and submit a prayer request to him.
Jesus Christ. Literally.
Yeah. He's a full-blown MAGA Republican. He actually started a contracting construction business in his early 20s. When he got into politics, he didn't sell it. He just transferred ownership to his wife. His son runs it. They have several locations. Here recently, there was a $21 million hangar deal at the Augusta Airport, which is the largest county in the district. There is so much deeply wrong that the Democratic Party here could be capitalizing on, and I am not afraid to say the things, but because I don't fit into their rules, right? It's like, no, not quite this one.
Okay, what? You know what?
And here's the deal. It's not just you.
No, it's everywhere.
Go ahead, you guys.
The DNC is a problem. And the other thing about the DNC when it comes to the primaries is we realize that with Kamala Harris, the DNC decided to stop caring about primaries. They don't care about primaries. They're going to tell you who they're voting for, or they're going to tell you who to vote for, which is the antithesis of being a Democrat, which is the antithesis of being a person on the left, right? Like, on the left, we're supposed Yeah, we learned that with Bernie Sanders. And I swear to God, I will die on this hill that Bernie Sanders absolutely won. I will never, I'm an election denier when it comes to Bernie Sanders.
We also
I will
learned
swear,
this.
I will swear.
What was that, Olivia?
We also learned this in 2008 as well. Because the establishment wanted Hillary the first time, and it was the first time. Yeah, well, and that was my first election that I ever voted in. And that is the only real primary that I feel like I have ever had. Because I voted, even as someone living in Arkansas where it was expected to be loyal to the Clintons, I voted for Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And like he didn't win
They said
Arkansas.
we're never letting that happen again.
Yeah, and I feel like ever since 2008,
that's exactly right, though.
It's never
100%.
They're pulling the strings. They've got their thumb on the scales.
These people.
And I want you to know that the
Go
DNC
ahead, Chelsea.
doing this nonsense is why we have MAGA. That is why we have MAGA. I'm going to blame you, Hillary Clinton. You know why we have MAGA? Because you and the DNC decided that you were going to rig everything. And here's the deal. We don't like it on our side when people rig stuff against us. We don't like it because we can see it. The MAGA will accept that kind of nonsense. The Republicans will accept that kind of nonsense. We will not accept that kind of nonsense. MAGA is the way it is because of Democrats. And I know that some people who are Democrats are going to be mad at me for saying that, but here's the deal. We know progressive policies are popular. Where are they at? Where are they at? Nowhere. These corporate Democrats are doing just as many terrible things as the Republicans are, and they're all shaking hands in the back room with each other.
Well, and it's funny that we keep talking about how progressive policies are actually really popular, because in my home state of Arkansas, when I worked on my first campaign in 2014, we were trying to increase the minimum wage. The minimum state wage at the time, not the federal, but the state, was $6.25 an hour. We were arguing to incrementally over the course of the next 5 years to increase it to $8.50. And then we were going to try in a couple years to get another initiative to increase it up to like 10 something. But people overwhelmingly, regardless of party, voted for that ballot measure to increase the minimum wage, but then turned around and voted for Tom Cotton to be their senator.
Yeah.
And did not see the
isn't that a problem on our end?
The state of Georgia is still the lowest state wage.
Yeah.
We are still sitting at $5.15. No, it's not. It's $5.15.
Oh God. Listen, before we go, I want everyone to have the chance here. First of all, thank you so much for an awesome panel, for a plethora of ideas. And once again, you guys make this show that I'm starting here a real winner. Every single one of you have added to the conversation something that I think that can be taken from and used tomorrow after people hear this. I'm going to leave it with last words from each of you. Let's go right around. And I want us, if you can give 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 things that we need to do or to acknowledge or to accept as the Democratic Party, where it needs to stand, and if you are a candidate, what you're going to do to get it that way. And we'll start with we'll start with you, Governor Jones. Brittany. Closing remarks.
I have been telling people that at the end of the day, people say money. How much money have you raised? How much money have you raised? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's endorsed me. Yes, I hear that all the time. And at the end of the day, I tell people it doesn't matter how much money I have or how much Kotek has. It doesn't matter who's endorsed who. When you get your ballot, what matters is which bubble you fill in next to whose name, because nobody's paying you to vote. So it shouldn't matter how much money a candidate has at the end of the day. So I tell them, stop listening to what the news tells you to do. Do your own research. Go to the Secretary of State website, look at the candidates, go to their websites, read their platforms, and vote for who you want, not for who the money tells you to vote for, because you're not being paid to do it anyways. So stop focusing on the money, because that is why we are in this situation. If you're against big money, stop voting for big money. Otherwise, you're part of the problem. They don't like hearing that, but it's true. And there's quite a few things I want to do. As governor, I wish I had more power, but investigating our elected officials and at the state level is well within my wheelhouse as governor. And that could lead to having evidence for impeachments, for having accountability, for getting these corrupted officials and politicians out of office. They're not endorsing me anyway, so I don't have to pretend to be their friend, right? I'm going after everybody when I get into office. Anybody is under investigation. We're going to find out where the money is going. We're going to find out where their time is being spent. We're going to find out exactly what they are doing, who is paying them to do it. And then if criminal charges need to be pressed, they will be referred for criminal charges, or that evidence will be submitted to our state legislator, our Congress members. It's going to go where it needs to go so that actions can be taken. Because I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to work for the people, as it should be.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You guys, what you're looking at is bj4oregon.wixsite.com. BJ for Oregon. Now, this lets me know, number one, that you're not taking corporate money, PAC money, right? Here's the point. Right. That's what I'm saying. But guess what, though? This isn't CNN. And it's so easy for me to just raise my voice when I get passionate. Guys, and this for many people are maybe tuning in to a show with me on it for. But I'm going to try to say this easily. This is not CNN. I don't get paid by giant advertisers that come in to sell UP bags and liver capsules, millions of dollars. That's why the people on those shows look at a site like this and would say, well, she's not ready, or how much money does she have? Because they don't care about what you're voting for. They care about how much they're going to make in advertisement when they show this. If you don't want that, I'll see you here. That's the point. That's the point. If you don't want that, I'll see you here. Don't let them confuse you on what the hell it is you're voting for out here. It's not that. It's not how many tricks you have on your .com. What it is what do you have to say, and what are you going to do to help the people, your constituents who vote for you? And that's what all of those other places have forgotten. So if you don't mind, you see that QR code up there, click it and give us some money, because we're not going to do that to you. I appreciate it. Chelsea Godds, you're next.
Sure, absolutely. In order for progressive policies to take over the United States and make it so that life is better for everyone, we need to be putting forward people first policies, period. We need to lean into what I call radical humanity, and we need to dominate the social, cultural message in the entire country. People on the left will win messaging every single time if we break it down, make it easy, keep it simple, stupid, and start talking about the things that will actually make life better for regular people. I do fully believe that if we incorporate art, humanities, culture into our anti-fascist movement, that we will absolutely be victorious. And social media needs to be at the heart of all of that, because whether you like it or not, media in 2026 is in fact social media. Democrats need to be focusing on dominating Instagram, dominating TikTok, dominating YouTube, dominating every social media platform. We need to stop isolating ourselves from other social media platforms, which I know is kind of like one of those things that Democrats like to do because we all move to blue sky or whatever. But what happens when we move out of those spaces that are owned and run by oligarchs is that the people who take over those spaces are nothing but the people who agree with the oligarchs. So we need to be so socially dominant that people cannot escape us. And that's what I'm working on. I know it's what a lot of other people are working on too. So hopefully we win the culture And if we win the culture, just like we did in the 1960s, think about all the protest songs, all the things that came out of the 1960s. If we rebuild that kind of movement in the 2020s, well, we can win.
It says here, you're the godcaster that's cooler than your mom. Is that true?
Yeah, I do. I call myself cooler than your mom. I am cooler than your mom. Sorry. Not sorry.
That's what's up.
Sorry, not sorry. I am cooler than your mom. Yeah.
I need to make sure that
that's
the
one
case.
of the taglines that I call myself. I say I'm cooler than your mom. I say I call myself. I say casual menace, cooler than your mom, funnier than you. Those are my taglines.
I absolutely love it. I love it, Olivia. Although Chelsea Gods is cooler than your mom, I will give you a space to speak. What say you, my friend?
Yeah. I mean, what I'm doing to focus on redefining the Democratic Party and fighting fascism is ensuring that we get new voices in the party system every day. I am focusing on training new staff, new candidates, and making sure that not only while training them, making sure they actually win and get in these positions so they can influence these policies. Because it's one thing to sit here and talk about the policies, but you actually have to get in a seat. I don't care what seat you're in, but you got to get in it and you got to start influencing those policies and having these conversations that meet people where they are.
Outstanding. And what we're looking at here, people, is Logan, what do you call that? Dash, not slash, dash, Logan-strategies.com. And we even have candidates on here. And we're going to be, the whole point of this show is to be a roundtable with courage candidates on it. And there may be candidates that could use some of Logan's strategy solutions. And she will be back as well. So, the whole point is, if we say that we're going to create the infrastructure, why not start with us, with me, with Jesse Dollimore? Why not start with Sons of Liberty? This is the beginning, which it should have been way closer to the end by 2020. God daggone 6. But this is the beginning of that infrastructure, where we're talking, who we're talking to, what news we're believing in. And it means a lot to have you on here, Olivia. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What say you, Bri Woodson? You're going to get tired of this because I'm going to keep on inviting you as long as you'll come.
No, you're fine. I always have lots to say, but I'll keep it simple and succinct. One thing that I'd like to encourage people listening and everyone here that are fighting the good fight, rest. Rest is radical resistance in a system that capitalizes off of our exhaustion. As is joy. Joy is also radical resistance. So find your joy, take your rest, live to fight another day. And beyond that, if you are looking for content around deconstruction, white supremacy, political history in the United States, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram under The Controversial Blonde, and Facebook as well, even though I don't post on Facebook consistently. I am there. And if you are looking for my congressional pages, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram under Bri Woodson for Congress, as well as the Facebook.
So what are we going to do? How are you going to move the left? How are you going to move this Democratic Party into a chokehold so that it submits to the people rather than it's
into a chokehold?
Rather into a chokehold so that it submits to the people rather than the companies. That's what I want to hear. What you got? You got 5 seconds.
Oh, okay.
I'm just playing.
And I wasn't listening to you anyway, so it's okay.
I see.
You know how I am. When it comes to that, being authentic in messaging, I will always continue to be that, calling out the things that I see as I see them, encouraging the people who take in my content, who follow me, to do the next best thing always, which is deconstruct it and help the people around you. We have to build up the voices that are truly tired and want progressive change to the point that we cannot be ignored, right? Push out the ones that are willing to sit in silence and capitulation. And as so many of us have already said, the best way to do that is keep being loud. So that's always going to be my intention. No matter how this congressional race turns out, I will always be an activist. I'll always be pushing for better change, pushing for more, because we deserve more and it's achievable.
Now, you told me in the beginning of the show that you already are one. That's what you told. That when you are our representative for the Georgia 12th district, we expect you to stay loud. I expect to see you as at the marches when you're not working on Capitol Hill.
You know me, I'm always at a protest.
Yeah. You're gonna have to organize them at Capitol Hill, and we're gonna send Olivia. Your way.
Well, you know,
you're there.
I just did that. We actually that was quite the experience. You know, we managed to get about 3,000 people out in DC the weekend of February 27th and 28th. It was great.
People
fighting fascism.
Fighting fascism every single day in your everyday life in a very real way. Our job as citizens is to fight fascism every day in a very real way. You do it around the dinner table. You do it with your platform. You do it with your voice, right? You do it with your children, okay? There is no such thing as a child who shouldn't know that Trump sucks. Period. Don't let them tell you other than that. I'm very serious. Everybody's child should recoil at the color orange. Period. You know what? If you know what I know, you know that what's coming next ain't pretty. It's not. We have one chance, and it's all of us as citizens have this chance. We can be a part of the projection of something amazing to come on the other side of this, because it won't be the same either way. You can't have it go back to what it was. Or you can be the ones that when after we win, will know that you did nothing to get there. That's it. That's your choice. Right now, we have people, and we plan on doing this every week with panels of people who are choosing to do something to get us there. And we need you to do the same in your own life, in your own way, but in a very real way. And I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. This is On Your Left with Drill Sergeant Doug.
Go, go, go. Resist. Oh. Resisting. Fuck this shit's going down. That's right here, right now. The political drain. Just the news you need. Nothing driven by greed. No sipping Kool-Aid. Sims cooking on that.